he is a redshirt sophomore on Syracuse's team, so he'd be a redshirt junior next year. Everybody gets an extra year. So if you're a redshirt freshman, then you still have 4 years. So you got the 1, you got the 2. So he should have 2 more years. He'll have 3 wherever he transfers to. Now, he's 6'7", and he averaged 3.8 points per game, 1.9 rebounds a game. But he really took off toward the latter part of the season, where his three-point shot started to, really his jump shot in general started to work for him, and his three-point shot started to fall down, and he was able to get a bunch of threes. Really helped the team consistently from three-point range. So played off the bench for Syracuse. He did have starter minutes, though, at times, and where he had 29 minutes in a game. In the 5 postseason games that Syracuse had, he averaged 7.4 points. He made 7 out of 16 shots from three-point range at that time as well, which is just a little bit below 50%. So he entered the transfer portal after the transfer portal had the name John Ajak enter the transfer portal. Now, John Ajak we haven't really seen anything of. So, the thing is you see a little bit of Braswell, but John Ajak, haven't seen really anything of him. He's a redshirt freshman, so he didn't play last season. He was only in 10 games this past season, and he like I said, redshirted the year before. He didn't play that much. He's a native out of the Sudan, and so he's heading out of Syracuse where, he was supposed to be a backup center for the team, and now he is no longer with the Syracuse Orange. So we look at this right now. Now, the thought that there's more players that will be entering the transfer portal because the NCAA will vote on granting players the ability to play without having to sit out a year this May. If that is the case, so players already get a free year due to COVID. Can't speak, sorry, but due to COVID, they get a free year. And so if you had 2 years left, now you got 3. If you had, what I mean. So in Buddy's case, Buddy was supposed to have 1 year after this year, right? He was supposed to be a senior after this year. Now he's got 2 years. So whatever you were supposed to have, you tack on another year to it, and that's what these players have. So in the case of Kadary Richmond, who is the third to jump into the transfer portal, he's a true freshman. But because he's got the next 3 years plus the extra year due to COVID, he transfers to another school. It's going to be like he never came to Syracuse. He will essentially be a 4-year player, or could be a 4-year player wherever he goes, if he decided to stay. So Kadary Richmond is now in the transfer portal. He played in every game for Syracuse this season, and he averaged 21 minutes per game, 6.3 points a game, shot 43.5% from the floor, and was one of the guys, best ball handler on the team besides Marek, who's really, really good at it. Good vision on the team, was able to get to the basket, get himself fouled. He had the wherewithal. He didn't play like a freshman. He played with the comfortability and the knowledge that you would expect of someone who's a veteran in college basketball. So I give him a lot of credit. So this is where we are right now, okay? Syracuse, 3 guys that are currently in the transfer portal. Now there's a notion by some people that say, well, you know what? They could all come back. And I would tell you that the unfortunate reality is typically when a player says they're going from Syracuse, they leave. That has been the case. They don't come back, right? Last year you had 4 guys enter. You had a walk-on enter, and you had 3 other players enter, scholarship players. They didn't come back. I do not foresee any of these players coming back. It's a tough decision I would imagine, to jump into the transfer portal. Very tough decision to jump in. And making that decision kind of tells your coaching staff, hey, bro, I'm out. Good luck to you in your future endeavors. To come back to a team after, because this is not the same as testing the waters like Quincy Guerrier is with the draft. This isn't the same, right? You test the waters with the draft, you're not turning your back on your team, so to speak. You want to catch information, you want to see what they say. Because the way the draft is set up now, you have the opportunity to go out there and really get a ton of information that you wouldn't get otherwise in the past without having to go into the draft. So Quincy could go out there and they could say, hey, you're this, this, and this, and we love this, and oh my gosh, you did this, and we think you'll be great. And maybe it's more than what he expected, or it's the same as what he expected, or it's none of what he expected, but you're not giving up on the team because you're not turning back on the team. The transfer portal is like, peace, I'm out. By definition, I'm transferring somewhere else. I'm moving along with my life. I'm going to the next chapter. Testing the waters of the NBA draft is not the same. Testing the waters of the NBA draft is saying, I want to know what they think of me, and I want to know what I need to work on. So if they love everything about me, maybe I stay in the draft. If they don't, then I go back to Syracuse and I work. So guys entering the transfer portal and you having the mentality of, oh, well, they'll come back. I don't think so. I don't think so. John Ajak played this year sparingly. Little to nothing. He got passed by Jesse Edwards, who a true freshman on the team. And John Ajak, a redshirt freshman. He got passed by Jesse. Okay? So I can't speak for any of these guys, and I think that any of the quote-unquote fans, and you're not a fan if you're attacking players, by the way, and that's another story that we're going to have here on the show today. If you're attacking players, that's saying a lot about you and nothing about them. That's saying that something in your life is broken, you're broken, something is broken, and you need to fix that. Because attacking someone else, it says a lot about you. Pardon me, Jesse wasn't a true freshman. Jesse was a sophomore. My apologies. I thought I was wrong, so I double-checked. So that's another thing, too. You can be wrong in the media world, and that's okay. Because I know a lot of people that listen are never wrong. But, not to my show. Actually, the people listening to my show are good. So, here's the thing. Jesse passes you, and he's a sophomore, and you're a redshirt freshman. So you've both been there 2 seasons, right? John Ajak's not getting an opportunity from Boeheim. So I get it. I get it. Now, John Ajak scored his first ever points during this season at the Dome. I was there for that. Really happy for him. But you're 6'10", and you got Marek playing out of position. So if you're John, and this is just me, hypothetically speaking. This is not what John is thinking, because I can't speak for him. This is hypothetically speaking. Hypothetically speaking, I sit here and say to myself, if I'm John Ajak, I'm thinking, they brought in Jesse Edwards. Well, first I'm thinking, they're playing Marek out of position. I'm a center, he's not. And Marek told me, while he's been at Syracuse, told me, Dan Tortora, I'm not speaking through, John hypothetically anymore, I'm talking about myself right now. Marek told me in an interview that he didn't like playing center. That he was out of position. That he knew he was out of position and he wanted to go back to his position. He told me that at least a year ago, if not 2. So he has taken one for the team throughout his entire career, which could affect his draft stock, could affect everything about him. Because he could go to the NBA and play a 3, and they got him playing a 5 here. He can go overseas and play a bunch of different things, but this is the thing. Playing out of position, because Syracuse needs him to, that's great. You take one for the team, but your future, that's affected, could be affected by it. So if I'm John Ajak, right, if I jump into his brain, and I think to myself, what would I do in his position? I would be thinking, Jesse passed me, but before Jesse passed me, Marek was playing out of position when Jesse wasn't even playing. So I'm thinking in my head, Coach, I can go out there and play. Barama went down. Let me go in. Don't move, Marek. Let me go in. And that didn't happen. John Ajak played sparingly this year. We didn't get to see him. So if I'm John Ajak, I understand. I get it. You came here. You're a redshirt freshman. This is your first season. You get this season back, plus the upcoming 3 that you had. So he can go anywhere, and it's like he never was here. Because he redshirted. So this is his freshman season. And just like Kadary, you get your freshman season back, plus 3. So John Ajak can go anywhere in the world, and he's going to play, potentially, 4 years. Now, his season highs this year, 2 points, which was scored on December 5th against Ryder. The most minutes that Boeheim gave him in a game was 9 minutes on February 27th at Georgia Tech. He made 1 field goal. Obviously, didn't attempt any threes. Has 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 steal. Sparing. He played 9 minutes against Niagara, 7 minutes against Rider, 7 against Rutgers, 3 against BC, 3 against Buffalo, 2 against BC when they played him at home, 3 against Notre Dame, 7 against Duke, 9 against Georgia Tech, 1 against San Diego State. We didn't see John Ajak against NC State. We didn't see him against Virginia. We didn't see him against West Virginia. We didn't see him against Houston. So I can understand. Now, I do understand the theory of, well, why don't these guys just work hard and, fight for the job? Whatever happened to competition? Well, if I'm John Ajak, I might be thinking to myself, I didn't get an opportunity, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get one anytime soon, so I'm out. Peace. You know what I mean? And I can understand that. I get that. I do. So, John Ajak, to me, we didn't get to see anything of what he's capable of. And the sad thing about it is I think he has upside. I think all these guys do. The difference between John and Kadary and Braz is that Kadary and Braz, we saw something because they were given time. But Braz, I'm surprised Robert Braswell didn't transfer last year because he's on this team and it just seems like he got passed and he got passed and he got passed and he got passed. Now again, I understand the notion of, well, these guys need to work hard. I get that. I get it. Trust me, I get that. I get that. But at the same time, if you're Robert Braswell and you look at your stock right now, it's rising. Because you're a redshirt sophomore. So last year, like the year that you played, they didn't use you. Last year you were hurt, so you didn't play. So to me, Braz has every reason to go. His stock is high. He played almost 30 of the 40 minutes on March 21st against West Virginia, the last game that Syracuse won. His highest point total is 12, which is against Pittsburgh this season on January 6th. Field goals made, 4 against Virginia. Field goal attempts, 7 against Pittsburgh. 3-pointers made, he made 4 against Pittsburgh. 3-point attempts, 5 against Pittsburgh. 4 for 5 in that game at home. Free throws made, the most that he had was 2 in a game here. 3 free throw attempts, 3 in the same game against Clemson. Most rebounds he had in a game was 5 against Notre Dame. Most assists he had was at Georgia Tech with 1. Most blocks, 2 against San Diego State. Most steals he had 3 against Georgetown. Now, he played a bunch of games, double-digit minutes this year. Braswell played 15 against Niagara. He played 11 against at BC. 20 against Pittsburgh, 17 against Georgetown, 16 against Notre Dame, 17 at Duke, 11 at Georgia Tech, 21 against NC State, 27 against Virginia, 25 against San Diego State, 29 against West Virginia, and 15 against Houston. So as the season progressed, Boeheim trusted him more to be out there on the floor. Going from really not seeing any playing time at all in the season that he played before this, besides redshirting, and then, to start the season, a little bit here, a little bit there, and then a string of games where he played under 10 minutes in the game. It was a string of 7 games. And then he gets 3 where he gets double digits, then he goes back down, and then all of the postseason, he's playing double-digit minutes. NC State, Virginia in the ACC tournament, and then San Diego State, West Virginia, and Houston in the round of 64, round of 32, and Sweet 16, respectively. So, to me, Braz was getting more playing time, right? He was getting trusted more. And he was hitting his threes. He had a 3 against West Virginia, 2 against San Diego State, 2 against Virginia, 2 against NC State, 1 against Clemson. So he had that string of games I was talking about, 5 straight games of hitting at least 1 3, showing how well his shot has improved from his time when he came into Syracuse to now. So Robert Braswell would be a big help to this team. He'd be a huge help to this team. Because I think he did what a lot of people didn't give him credit for, or thought that he could do or that he would do. So it's surprising that Braz would leave because he was getting his minutes, finally. His shot was falling, finally. And it looked like he went from out of Boeheim's favor, where you're thinking, is he like a Caleb Joseph, to back into his favor and that he would get a chance. But alas, he's decided to go. Then in a shocking turn of events, Kadary Richmond puts his name in the transfer portal. So for those of you tuning in here on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, you're hanging out with me live inside of the studios. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is typically every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, but I wasn't patient enough to wait until 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, so I brought you bonus content because you deserve it. Because I couldn't stay mum on this. 3 guys are in the transfer portal. John Ajak should get some time, at least as a backup center next season. Brad should be fighting to be a starter, and Kadary should be the starting point guard. So these aren't slouches that we're talking about over here. We're not talking about the third guy on the depth chart. We're not talking about someone who walked onto the team. And those people matter too. I'm not saying that they don't. But Kadary Richmond, I talked to Gene Waldron about this. We just talked about this last week from Cafe Kubal Co-works on 208 North Townsend Street, right above the cafe. The cafe is there, and the Co-works is there, and the podcast headquarters is there, showing that Cafe Kubal is so much more than just a coffee shop for you. They help your business. They give you an opportunity to have a place to do your business. If you like to have, an office, but you don't want to buy your own space, you want to just rent out a spot. And, of course, to do your podcast somewhere. With that exposed brick and everything, it looks beautiful. And I was talking to, and Daryl's saying huge loss, absolutely. And I was talking to Gene about the fact that Gene's a New York City kid. And Kadary's a New York City kid. And when you come from those boroughs, there's just something about it. It's different. And it translates, right? Pearl, Gene, Kadary, a lot of guys coming from that area, right? It translates. Because it is no blood, no foul. It's grit, and kids growing up in the projects and whatnot, and doing, playing basketball to stay out of trouble, like Gene was talking about. Basketball is a different world. It's not just playing. It's life. It's everything. And not that it can't be everything to other people without those circumstances, but there's something to be said about New York City players on the island, and their ability to play the sport of basketball anywhere in the world. And that a bunch of them have come to Syracuse, and he was supposed to be the next coming because it's been a while. Gene said that. It's been a while. And now it's gone. It's short-lived, like it never even happened. Because he was a true freshman, and because he gets this year back from Corona, Kadary gets 4 years. Just like John Ajak, because he's a redshirt, so he played 1 year. He gets 4 years. Kadary can go to any school like John Ajak, like he was never at Syracuse, like it never happened. He can leave like it never happened. Braz has 3, because you get your redshirt sophomore year back, and then you got redshirt junior, redshirt senior. Braz has 3, John has 4. Braz has 3, John has 4, Kadary has 4. These guys are leaving Syracuse like they never came to Syracuse. They're leaving Syracuse like they never touched Syracuse. They're leaving Syracuse like this was just, kind of like in the multiverse of Flash and its Flashpoint paradox. And essentially, these guys just kind of ran and created a new timeline and jumped over into it. Kadary's a massive blow to this team. A massive blow to this team. Coming out of Brewster Academy, he helped the Bobcats of Brewster to a 34-3 record in 2019-20 before he came to Syracuse. He scored 100 or more points 11 times in the season before he came to Syracuse, 2019-2020. Let me say that again. Because remember Wilt Chamberlain scored 100 in the NBA with the Lakers? Kadary Richmond scored 100 or more points 11 times. Those are games. That means he scored 1,100 points in 11 games. Some people don't score 1,100 points in 20 years. 1,100 points in 11 games, at least. Helped the team win their first 9 games of the season that year at Brewster. He had 11 assists in the season opener. 129-58 win over Catholic Prep. In a game over St. Thomas More that they won 82-81, he scored 17 points and had 9 rebounds. He helped Brewster Academy reach the finals of the National Prep Championship by defeating Hargrave Military Academy 97-78. The title game was never played. He got the 2020 First Team All New England Prep School Athletic Council recognition, the NEPSAC. Then he comes to Syracuse, and he shows those long arms in the zone. Then he comes to Syracuse, and he's the only one that attacks the basket, besides like Marek and a Quincy sometimes. He comes to Syracuse, and as a true freshman, he has the wherewithal to know, shot clock's running down, ball's in my hand, I'm not just going to chuck up like some of the guys do on the team. I'm not just going to chuck up a shot. I'm going to actually figure out where I can get to the basket, attack the basket, and at the very least, I'm going to jump into my defender and command the foul. One of the things that Kadary does that I feel like people don't appreciate, maybe you do. I hope you do. I hope you see it. I hope you see it. But when Kadary goes up, there's 2 seconds, 3 seconds on the shot clock. Kadary's got the ball in the lane. He does two amazing things. He gets the ball up to the basket. He takes an actual attempt at making a shot, not just the contact and falling. He actually gets the ball up toward the rim, and sometimes I don't know how he does it. He got it one time, he hit, and then he's coming down, and all of a sudden the ball flies up in the air, and it hits the rim. And even though it didn't go in, he got it up. So he gets the shot up, and he knows to get fouled. He gets the shot up, and he knows to get fouled. He knows that if there's a couple seconds left, and I got to take a tough shot, instead of just taking a fadeaway stupid shot, instead of just forcing this up early in the shot clock, if I got the ball and I could take this shot, I'm going to take the shot, and if somebody jumps and I can see my defender and they're close, I'm going to see out of my peripheral that I can jump and bump them. So whether I make this shot or not, I'm going to the free throw line. He gives his team the best chance to win because he attacks the basket. He's strong on defense. He's smart on defense. He pays attention. He puts his arms out, and he does more than just the job that maybe they're asking him to do. Because when he cheats back to the high post and he backs away, like he's going beyond Joe Girard. He's going like beyond Buddy, and he's making adjustments that he's not being coached to make necessarily. He's just doing it. Kadary is smart. He doesn't play like a freshman. He knows to attack. He knows how to attack. He knows how to get to the rim. He's finesse. He's got moves. His ball handling is only going to get better, in my opinion. His shot's going to get better, in my opinion. He has taken over games at times. He scored like 9. He was responsible for the last 9 points before halftime in one of the games I was at in the Dome. Him and Jesse Edwards were a spark that got this team at least 2 to 3 wins this season. Just the two of them being on the floor at the same time for 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 13 minutes. He knows how to get the shot up. He knows how to attack the basket. He knows how to play defense, and he knows how to get fouled to give his team the best chance to get a shot off. He's not just chucking up threes and then jogging back. How many times have you seen Syracuse take a shot and the shot's up in the air still and they're already back on defense? Houston did not beat Syracuse because Syracuse sucks. Houston beat Syracuse because A, they're a good team, B, they're the number one rebounding team in the nation with over 40 rebounds a game, but C, because Syracuse had correctable issues that they failed to assess. And that's on the coaches, and that's on the players. They didn't box out. They didn't have energy to match Houston. They didn't chase the ball down. They didn't get their hands out on defense. They didn't move fast enough. They didn't focus on the glass. What did Houston do? They didn't grab rebounds under the basket. How many times did Houston, the ball went up, they sent a bunch of guys underneath, they jumped up, and they tipped it backwards. And it went over a guy's head on Syracuse's defense. And at least 2-3 times, the guy wasn't even facing the ball. He didn't even know where the ball even was. And how many times did Syracuse take a shot and then just jog back? Listen, no matter how good you are, they're not all going in. I can promise you that. They're not all going in. So we got some thoughts coming in. I'm heated. I'm heated because Syracuse is better than the 46-point performance that they put up. They're better than that. And these three guys should not be leaving. John Ajak is a relative question mark, but I think he would have been a good asset at center. Braz is going to be a good player on or off the bench for somebody, and Kadary is going to be a starter, and Kadary could be an NBA player. So this is not just three guys leaving. These are three pieces of your puzzle that you now have to fill on a team that already needed puzzle pieces to be filled. So now you got to fill puzzle pieces on top of puzzle pieces. Eugene Waldron, who I brought up, he said facts. Wish he stayed. I think he was talking about Kadary. Mike T said, yes, a huge, massive blow. He will make a difference on any team he's on. Talking about Kadary. I agree. Gene said, grass isn't always greener on the other side, though. That's true, Gene. But if these guys turns out they're not being appreciated, I don't blame them. I don't knock them. And I can't speak to that. Only they can. Mike said, Joe Girard isn't a starting point guard anywhere. Here's my thing about Joe. I'm not going to sit here and knock Joe. I'm just going to say he's a shooting guard and Kadary's a point guard. So that should have been the case. Daryl wrote in, said, huge loss, Dan, talking about Kadary. 100% agreed. A very smart player for his age. Wise before his years. My favorite young player, Dan. Yeah, man. I get it. I get it. That's why I had to come on the air tonight. And Gene said, the grass isn't always greener, but I'm not mad at him. You can't be mad at him. You can't be. Gene, that's because you and I have intelligence. Because if my kid was Kadary Richmond, sitting on a bench, not playing part of the games, or, not playing. I mean, if my kid was Kadary, if he was my son, and they told me Joe Girard's the starting point guard next year, nice knowing you, coach. Deuces. Wild. Bye. I'm gone. And that's not a knock on Joe. But Kadary's a point guard. If you can't see Kadary's Syracuse should have done. This is your crisis management, okay? This is your crisis management. This is what Syracuse needed to do at the end of the season. Immediately. Talk to Quincy and talk to Kadary. That's what they had to do. Buddy wasn't going anywhere. It was a stupid question to ask him if he was going to the NBA. In my opinion. In my opinion. It's not that Buddy can't play professionally, but Buddy knows he's got more work to do, and that's what he said, and I agree with that. But, give some people a little bit due here. I played basketball my entire life. I picked up a basketball when I was 3. I basically taught myself how to play. And beyond that, I'm the one that pushed myself, and I've studied this game. And I genuinely believe I can coach a team. I genuinely believe I can coach at any level. I do believe that. I do believe that. Because I eat, sleep, and breathe basketball. I love basketball. It's one of the places I can shut my brain off. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. If you ain't, what did Drake say? If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. The theory is brilliant. So, my thing is, if Kadary was my son, and there was any credence to the conversation that he was told he wasn't going to be the starting point guard, bye, coach. One of the dumbest decisions you can make. What Syracuse had to do after this season was talk to Quincy and talk to Kadary. Because Kadary got boned, and Quincy, like a lot of guys in Syracuse history recently, is going to be told that he's good enough for the NBA when I think he needs a little more time. Quincy's not ready. He's not ready. Okay? O'Shea wasn't ready. And listen, I'm saying this out of love. Again, if I was their father. If I was Quincy's father, I would tell him he's not ready. O'Shea wasn't ready. Tyler Ennis wasn't ready. Malachi Richardson wasn't ready. They weren't ready. They just weren't ready. Tyler Lydon wasn't ready. Right? I understand money, but longevity, okay? Longevity. You got the short game or the long game. If you were playing the long game, all those guys should have come back. If you're playing the long game. But to echo Gene, I'm not mad at him. Right? If Tyler Lydon's happy, Tyler Ennis is happy, if Malachi is happy, if Chris McCullough is happy, if O'Shea is happy, then I'm happy. If I was their coach and they asked me feet to the fire, I would have said, come back for one more year. Not just for me, but for you. Because it's not about me. If I was coaching Syracuse, it's not about me. Okay? Yeah, I want to win. But I have a conscience and I have a gut and I can't sit with it. My heart guides me in everything I do. And I couldn't sit with it if I told these guys to come back if it was just for me. Just for my benefit. Malachi needed a little more time, but he was riding the wave of going to the Final Four. Tyler Lydon needed a little more time because he was riding the wave of going to the Final Four. Tyler Ennis needed a little more time. Right? O'Shea Brissett needed a little more time. Quincy needs a little more time. They just do. And that's coming from, and that, again, that's if I was their father talking to them behind closed doors, that's what I would say. Not because I'm only thinking about Syracuse, but because I'm thinking about these guys. Because I care about them. I care about them. I care about every player that ever plays anything. I want y'all to succeed. I want every student to succeed. I want every teacher to succeed. I want every coach to succeed, every player to succeed, every broadcaster to succeed, every flight attendant, every comedian. I don't wish bad on anybody. If you attack people and you criticize people, listen, I can tell you by the numbers I think this or I think that, but these men will tell you, I would like to think they'll tell you, that they never felt attacked by me. Because that's not me. You know, and Anthony, you bring up a good point, and it's something I always say on my show. Jim Boeheim hasn't changed. Why would he now, is what Anthony said. He said, Dan, Jimmy B has not changed in 40 years. Why would he now? My answer to you, Anthony, is he's not going to. He's not going to. I'm saying if I was the coach, this is what I would do. And I tell people this on the show all the time. And it's clear as day. It's clear as day. So if you don't know it, here it is again. But it's clear as day to me. There is a stark difference between making a point that is based in facts and logic that is something that maybe Jim Boeheim should do differently. And there's the reality that he never will. Because he's going to do what he wants to do. This man's been set in his ways for 45 years. He's not going to change. So I tell fans all the time, you might have a great point that he should get out of zone. You might have a great point he should play man-to-man. You might have a great point that he should switch to a 3-2. You might have a great point that he should have an out-of-bounds play so we don't look stupid and like we're, some rec league team and not a D1 team. There should be actual passes on our offense and not guys just handing the balls around. There should be more full-court press. You can make sense in all of that you say, but please understand, that doesn't mean he's going to change. The biggest said, why did Boeheim guarantee Joe Girard a spot? Does he not think Richmond is good or not good for the program? I don't know how you think Kadary's not good for the program, unless he has some character issues that nobody knows about. I don't know. I mean, I have seen nothing to make him... If anything, I think he's a resurgence of the program. I think Pearl Washington would be happy to see another Island kid here. I know Gene was happy to see that. So, folks, there is a big difference between making a really good point and Boeheim not changing. And some of you make fantastic points, but it doesn't mean he's going to do it. He's never going to switch out of the 2-3 zone. So people talk to me, be like, Dan, but this, but that. Yeah, and some of you made some really good points. And some of you I agree with. But he's not going to change. There's a stark difference between making a good point and realizing who your coach is. And Bay's not going to change. And I respect the heck out of him as a coach. And he's fantastic. And he's got over 1,000 wins, 1,083. And he's brought some awesome players to Syracuse. And he's been to the tournament as a coach in 6 decades. 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. He's brought the team to multiple Final Fours in multiple decades. He's done a ton for Syracuse, the city of Syracuse, and put us on the map. So I have no qualms with Boeheim and how much he means to Syracuse. At all. But do some of you make good points sometimes? Absolutely. Does it mean anything's going to change? No. I could talk to you till I'm blue in the face about man-to-man and why it works. I played it. But it doesn't mean that he's going to go to man-to-man. So you have to know the difference between saying something makes sense and what Boeheim's going to do. And we don't know the conversations he had behind closed doors with all these guys. We know what we heard, what we saw, what we want to believe, what we think. But only John Boljak can tell you what he said to John Boljak. And only Robert Braswell can tell you what he said to Robert Braswell. And only Kadary Richmond can tell you what he said to Kadary Richmond. And if those guys tell me, and they say, Dan, you could tell the world, okay. If they tell me and say you can't tell anybody, then I won't. Because I have respect. And I'm more about building relationships than telling stories. Because if you burn all the bridges on the way to tell your story, ain't nobody going to read it. So, I can't pretend to know how each of these men felt. But if I was Kadary, and there was any notion that I wasn't going to be the starting point guard, I'm out. Not because I can't compete, but he's already proven himself. There's a difference between why doesn't he stay and compete and he's proven himself. He's already proven himself to me. He's already proven it to me that he can be the point guard. He's already said it. He's a better defender than Joe Girard and Buddy Boeheim. And that's not knocking them. I'm just telling the truth. He's a better defender than the both of them. He's a better guy attacking the basket than any guard on the team. He's got the wherewithal and the vision better than anybody except for Marek. He's a strong passer. He's a good dribbler. He's got the Long Island grit, the Burroughs grits, the no blood, no foul grit. He doesn't complain, and he acts like a frickin' leader. So he's already proven himself to me. So if he's leaving, my gut tells me it's because he doesn't feel respected. That's my gut. That's my gut. That's my gut. Because I didn't see anything on the court that showed me that he's not the starting point guard next season. Braz, this man went from obscurity. He knows that, I'm sure. He went from the basement of Boeheim's house to eating dinner with Bay. So if he's going, that's really making me go, Because Braz finally got there. He finally got Boeheim to put him on the floor. And now he's going. That hits a certain way to me. That hits a certain way. And I hope I get to talk to Braz about that. And then John Boljak, he's the most unproven of the two. We don't know what John can do. We don't know. But this man told me his story when he came to Syracuse. The man has been through hell. He has been through hell and back. The fact that he can even get on a court, the fact that he can even get up in the morning, love himself, and be a positive contributor to society, I respect. I respect it. I respect it. So I'm going to tell you real clearly. I respect every one of these men. I will never spit on their grave, and I will never spit on them here on earth. John Boljak, Robert Braswell, and Kadary Richmond deserve to be happy. They deserve to be appreciated. They deserve to be happy. Does everybody transfer because they don't want to compete? No. Does everybody transfer because that's the generation? No. Does everybody transfer because they're not willing to work hard? No. Sometimes people transfer because it's not a good fit. Coaches leave these players all the time high and dry. So some players leave because they committed to the coach who walked out on them. Some players leave because they were promised something and they were lied to. Some players leave because they feel like they've proven themselves and they're not getting what they want. Some players leave because they feel like they'll be better served someplace else. Some players leave because of family. Some players leave because of a gut situation. Some players leave because of money. Some players leave because they're ignorant. Some players leave because they're not willing to fight. Some players leave because they're babies. Some players leave because everything's been handed to them. So you can't say that every player in the transfer portal is because they're a baby and their generation doesn't know how to work hard. It's not true. And I know a lot of people in the generation that know how to work hard. Because I actually spend time with them and I interview them and I sit with them and I talk to them. And a lot of people that speak for them don't even know them. So people can say they're in the know, but what does that even mean? Right? What does that even mean? I'm in the know. What I know is, on years outside of Corona, I'm in the locker room with these people. Sometimes I'm in practice with them. I'm at games with them. Going through recruitment, I might be sitting in a chair right next to them. I might be on the phone with them for a while. And then after they go to Syracuse, they can all speak for it. I talk to them. Trevor Cooney, Brandon Trish, Jeremy Grant, Cream Christmas, Mike Benajay, Fab Mello, rest in peace. John Wallace, Otis Hill, Lazarus Sims, Gene Waldron, Roosevelt Bowie Jr., Dale Shackelford, Hal Cohen, Sonny Spira, Jim Lee, Mike Lee, Pearl Washington, may he rest in peace. Eric Santifer. And on and on and on and on and on. And on and on and on. O'Shea Brissett, Marek Dolezaj, Buddy Boeheim. These guys know me. And they know that I care. And they know that I can't judge why they're doing what they're doing. I just want them to be happy. And so that brings me to another point that I have to make. To the ignorant, insane, fanatical, irrational, illogical, small-minded, short-sighted, disrespectful people that attack these kids or attack me or attack Boeheim. Listen, you can disagree with how Boeheim coaches, but don't attack him personally. You can disagree with how I do my job, but it's how I do my job. You can disagree with how Kadary plays or how Braz plays or how John Ball Ajak plays, but that's how they play. You can disagree with them leaving, but they chose to do it. You can disagree with Quincy Guerrier putting his name in the NBA draft to at least just feel things out. But he, with all due respect, please understand he doesn't care. And why should he? Quincy Guerrier has tens of thousands. There might be 50,000 people that have an opinion about Quincy Guerrier right now. And you know the only opinions that matter? God's, his, and his family. And maybe some of his close friends. And maybe a teacher or a mentor. That's it. And maybe a coach. That's it. Your opinion does not matter to him. I want you to know that. It doesn't. Okay? If you're a stranger in his life, your opinion does not matter to him. So, understand that. Vintage, you're speaking to the choir. My name means God is my judge. So, but I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated because I'm seeing a lot of people attack Joe Girard. Joe is not the coach. Joe is not John, Braz, or Kadary's parents. Joe Girard does not decide who gets playing time. And Joe Girard is not the chancellor or the president or the AD of the university. So y'all attacking Joe is ridiculous. And I'm going to say something to you. If Joe starts the upcoming 10 games and he hits 4 threes per game, everybody questioning him will shut up. Because people shut up about Marek. And people shut up about Buddy. And people shut up about Joe at times this year. And they shut up about Braz. There were people saying that Robert Braswell, they forgot he was even on the team. There were people saying that they didn't even care. That they thought he wasn't even capable. And then everybody loved him. These players know the fake fans. They know the roses that turn into thorn bushes. And they don't care about you. And they shouldn't. And if I was their father, I would tell them not to. Because it's the dumbest thing in the world to care about somebody's opinion that doesn't matter. If they don't sleep next to you, break bread with you, or want the best for you, or helped you in your life to get to where you are today, and hold hands with you and walk by your side, they don't matter in your life. That doesn't mean they don't matter. It doesn't mean you don't pray for them. They don't matter as people. It means their opinion is inconsequential. It is BS. It's like poop on the ground at Onondaga Lake Parkway. You walk around it, you don't step in it, you don't smell it, you don't eat it, and you don't put it in your life. You walk around that poop, and you move on. That's what it is. So those of you that are attacking Joe Girard, it's saying nothing about Joe and everything about you. It's showing that you are unhappy, that you've learned nothing from the past year of Corona that was supposed to teach us how to love each other. And it shows me how short-sighted and weak-minded you are. I'm not going to call you names, I'm not going to swear at you, and I'm not going to yell at you. I'm just going to tell you that, what if Joe Girard was your son? Because you talk crap about him all the time. Guess what? He belongs to somebody. He's somebody's friend. He's somebody's sibling. He's somebody's kid. He's somebody's grandkid. He's somebody's student. He's somebody's player to the coaches. He's somebody's something. And so when you spit on him, you're spitting on his mom, you're spitting on his dad. Do I think Joe is a point guard? No. I think Joe's a shooting guard. I think if you put the feet to the fire and ask Joe, he'd tell you the same thing. I would imagine. That's my gut. That's my thought. So I think Joe's a shooting guard. I don't think he's a point guard. I think Joe has to work on his ball handling. I think I do too. I think Joe has to work on his three-point shot. I think Joe has to work on his free throws. I think Joe has to work on his vision and his wherewithal on the court. I think Joe has to work on not shooting the ball so quickly in the shot clock. I think Joe needs to take better shot selection. I think there's a lot of things Joe could work on. But I say all that stuff calmly. I'm not swearing and I'm not wishing death upon him and I'm not threatening him on social media. If I was his coach, we'd be working on all the stuff in the gym right now. Because I'm not perfect and neither is Joe. But if you're attacking Joe Girard right now, do us all a favor and go back to the bunker you crawled out of and leave everybody alone. Because you didn't learn anything about Corona. You learned nothing. This kid was sick with Corona, tried to play after it, and we have no idea how that will affect him moving forward or how much it affected him this season. Because it affects everybody differently. But even beyond that, do I agree with every decision Joe makes? No. But am I going to personally attack this kid? Absolutely not. Because I always ask myself, what would Jesus do? Like, would I want that to happen to me? Would I want Joe to attack me? No. He doesn't have to agree with everything I do, but would I want him to attack me? Especially publicly? And y'all scumbags that attack people on message boards and all this stuff, it's like, y'all are cowards. 99.9% of you would never say that to somebody's face. And still, if you said that to their face, they still shouldn't even talk to you. Because engaging you makes it brings it into reality. Another Drake line where he says, without a response from me, you really fail to exist. So, Joe, don't answer any of these whack jobs. Yeah, people can disagree with your playing time and your shot selection and this, that, and whatever. But Joe is not the reason why John Ajak and Robert Braswell and Kadary Richmond left. Joe's not the head coach. He doesn't make the decisions, and he's not the one meeting with these guys. So, don't pick on these players. And I've seen people throw so much hate to Tyler Lydon, and I talked to Tyler about it. Do you know how that makes Tyler feel? Or any of these guys? When they give their blood, sweat, and tears to play this game, for your enjoyment, you don't have to work out. You don't have to run. You don't have to lift. You don't have to watch film. You don't have to be a full-time student and a full-time athlete. You don't have to be away from your family. You don't have to be locked down for a year in a bubble like these guys were during Corona. You will never know what it's like to be a student athlete, but what do you say? They get a free education. Okay, but guess what? It's not free because they sacrifice every freaking day so you can watch them. Yeah, they're doing what they love, but it's really damn hard to do it. And Tyler Lydon, how do you think he felt? He spent 2 years with Syracuse. and you loved him, loved him, loved him, loved him, loved him, and then some people went on social media, death threats, hate messages, wishing him this, wishing him that. How do you think that makes him feel? It makes him feel like it was all fake. It makes him think that the only reason why you liked him for 2 years was because of what you could do, what he could do for you. And is that a healthy relationship? Is that how you treat your wife? Is that how you treat your husband? Is that how you treat your kids? Is that how you treat your friends? That they're only as good as what they can do for you? As long as they're giving you something, they're worthy of you? Because if that's the case, you're going to be alone at some point in your life. I can promise you that, because God teaches lessons. And that's not me wishing bad on you. That's me telling you the truth. If you treat people like an endless well that you could just keep drinking water out of, if you're not a well back to them, eventually they're not going to let you drink anymore. Or they're going to run out of water. You know, talking to Tyler Lydon about that. You know, like, how do you think a player feels where you're cheering his name and then you're wishing him death on social media? And the only thing that changed in between was he gave you what you wanted and then he did what he wanted for himself. So the only thing that changed was you were selfish and then you were selfish. Stop attacking other people. Basketball, student athlete, whoever, it doesn't matter. Stop being a jerk. And if you haven't learned that in Corona, I got to quote my man from today, Devin Swage, who said, "Don't be an idiot." Daryl said, "I never understand that. Why would you attack these young people? For God's sake, who's the kid in the equation? Grow up, disgusting, Dan. Very sad." And it is. Who is the child in the equation? Because you're just bitter. You're bitter. If you were good enough to be a D1 athlete, and somebody said, "Oh, well, you get to go to school for free," and blah, 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 you'd be going crazy. You'd be saying F you all up and down the corner. These kids are transferring. Yeah, it sucks. But you know what? You can't control it. So you can choose to deal with it or not deal with it. But if you choose not to deal with it, your life's going to suck. If you choose to deal with it, well, then maybe you can move forward. And at the end of the day, it's not your life. They owe you nothing. Well, I'm a fan. I sit in the stands. Yeah, you're a fan that sits in the stands. So either be a fan or don't be. You can't be a fan when they're playing for you and hate them when they're not. You can't wish life on them when they're at Syracuse, and then if they transfer to Creighton, wish them death. You can't love them up when they're playing for Syracuse and hate them when they go to the draft. Because that's fake love. And if any one of you consulted your conscience and looked in the mirror and said, would you want somebody to do that? What if you found out every relationship you had was a relationship of convenience and a relationship of what people could get from you? What would you do if you found out everybody that you thought loved you was just using you, and as soon as they couldn't come to your well anymore, they just said, "I hope you die." They said horrible things about you. They attacked you. They attacked everything about you, how you do your job, how you breathe, how you smell, what you eat. How would you like that? Because that's what some people do to these kids. You love them because they give you something. And then when they do something for themselves, you think they're taking your toy away and you cry like a baby. Like a freaking child. And yeah, I'm emotional about this. Because I've had people tell me that I have no business doing what I do. And I've heard people talk crap about Braz and talk crap about Ajak. And not so much Kadary. Good for him that he didn't have to deal with the BS as much. But Trevor Cooney, he got booed by more people in the dome than not in the dome. Consult your conscience. Don't be an idiot. If these guys are going, it's because they think it's the best decision for them and their family. Do I like it? No. Do I think Syracuse will suffer because of it? Yes. Do I think Syracuse is losing their starting point guard, one of their forwards, on or off the bench, and a potential backup center? Absolutely. Do I think all these guys have value? Absolutely. If they never played a lick of basketball again, would I respect them all? Absolutely. Are they still God's children? Absolutely. Could they still come on my show if they all decided to be janitors, flight attendants, barbers, whatever? Absolutely. Because I don't care about what these kids can give me. I care about them as people. And once you start living your life caring about people as people and not just as objects, you get more good people around you and you have less anger in your life. Because when you're a scumbag, that's what you attract. When you're a good person, that's what you attract. And I've never seen anything from Braz, Kadary, or John that would make me think that these gentlemen can't give something to a team. Can't be a part of a family. It breaks my heart they're leaving Syracuse. It's my hometown. But I'm not going to knock any of these guys for doing it because it's what they want to do. And maybe it's the right decision and maybe it's not. And they'll figure that out. But it's not your job to tell them and it's not my job to tell them. I'm not them. And I wouldn't want them talking for me and speaking for me. So I'm not going to speak for them. Kadary should be the starting point guard. Braz should be one of the starters, if not coming off the bench. And John Ajak should have his shot at being a center on the team. Daryl said, when Dorsey Levens left Notre Dame and transferred to Georgia Tech, I was not mad, disappointed, but understood, and hoped he would have great success at Georgia Tech. One class act with great NFL. Is that what he said here? Great NFL caliber, I'm guessing you're saying. So, but yeah, I mean, I get it. I get it. So this transfer portal conversation is multi-layered. First and foremost, it stinks for Syracuse. Secondly, it means the team is rebuilding. Thirdly, it means that we will never see the true capability of any one of these players on the court in a Syracuse uniform. We're going to see potentially them reaching their highest potential, but in another jersey. So there's a lot of things about this that stink, but it also brings up the fan aspect of it. And I believe fans support you whether they agree with it or not. You know what I mean? Like, I believe a fan is like a really good parent. They may not always agree with what you do. You may get punished. You may have to answer to them. But they always love you. That's what a true fan is to me. If any of you are offended by anything I said, it's because you're not a true fan. It's because you are an idiot. It's because you're one of the people that boos these kids all the time. If I offended you today by anything I said, it's because you are the scumbag that I'm talking about. Because you shouldn't be offended. A good fan is like a good parent or a good friend. They may not always agree with you. They might fight with you. They may argue with you. They may challenge you. They may tough love you. But they will always, always, always be there. So anybody that wrote anything nasty to any of these guys today, take it down. Okay? Because your kids don't need to see that. Strangers don't need to see it. These kids don't need to see it. And for all y'all going after Joe Girard, I understand that like he's the easiest person to attack on this team because he struggled this year. But he also had corona. And he also let on that his hometown gets on him anyways. Like, he doesn't need anybody's help. His hometown's like, he hits 2 threes that you should hit more. You know? There's a lot of pressure for these guys to play and these women to play. There's a lot of pressure. You know, do I agree with their decisions? Not necessarily. Do I like this scenario? Not at all. Do I think it's good for Syracuse? Not at all. But am I going to wake up tomorrow morning and thank God for waking me up, take a deep breath, and live my life with as little stress as possible? Absolutely. But as my dad told me, and Roosevelt Bowie echoed, who's a Syracuse alum and a good friend, everybody's got an opinion like everybody's got a butthole. And you don't go around showing your butthole to everybody. And so in the same regard, you don't need to go around telling everybody your opinion. And if you have nothing nice to say, keep your damn mouth shut, right? It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything, but don't be a jerk. If you don't know the difference between constructive criticism and being a jerk, go back to grade school. Go play in the sandbox. You go to third grade. Go redo third grade. Heck, go redo kindergarten, for goodness sakes. My parents taught me how to be a nice kid when I was freaking born. If I took something from somebody in the sandbox, they said you go back, you give that back to them, and you apologize. That's why I don't act like somebody who... I never act like anybody owes me anything. I work hard for everything I got. So if you think I suck at my job, if you think I'm great at my job, because I answer to God, to myself, and that's it. And when I seek somebody's opinion about my decisions in my life, it's not strangers on social media. At all. So, if you got nothing nice to say to these kids, keep your damn mouth shut. Okay? It doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. But I would venture to say that you wouldn't want somebody to come question every move you make, threaten you, send death threats to your office every day, send it to your house, tell your children at school that they hope you die. You don't know the life of a coach and a player. You don't know what they go through unless you are or you have been. You have no idea what it's like to be a broadcaster. If you're anywhere in the entertainment world, people attack you because everybody thinks they're a better broadcaster, a better coach, a better player, a better actor, a better singer, a better musician, a better artist, a better writer, a better comic book creator. Everybody's better, right? Everybody's better than Robert Downey Jr. Everybody's better than Tom Holland. Everybody's better than Jennifer Aniston. They're better than Dan Tortora. They're better than John Ajak and Robert Braswell and Kadary Richmond. You know what I learned about life? Ain't nobody better than anybody else. Yeah, you might score more points than this guy. You might have a better whatever, than whoever. More people might go see Avengers and go see Justice League. By the way, the new one's really good. Shout out Zack Snyder. But shout out to everybody, even the other director's cut. I mean, that guy I'm sure is getting death threats too, for goodness sakes, and that's ridiculous. He made something that you didn't like. Oh my God, what are you going to do about it? Like, shut up. I mean, seriously, shut your mouth. There's so many people that would get so much farther in life if they would just shut the heck up when they're talking out of their ignorant butt. That's it. Nobody's better than anybody else. Some of my favorite players on Syracuse average like 1 point a game. Some of my least favorite people to interview were really good on their teams, but they just had horrible character. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to remember John, Robert, or Kadary's for their stats. Or Kadary for their stats. I'm not going to remember them for their stats. I'm going to remember them on how they treated me, and how they treated the community, and how they treated total strangers, and how they treated their loved ones. I want every single one of these guys to succeed. And all the women that are transferring from Syracuse, and all the ones that are staying. I want them all to succeed. Because I'm this person that believes in this world that you're supposed to love each other. Be good to each other. And when somebody spits on you, you don't spit back. Because then there's just two people with spit on them. And what does that do for anybody? It is so easy when somebody attacks you to lash out. It is so easy to lash out. So easy to lash out. But you can't. And there's some kids that I think were driven out of Syracuse because of the way they were treated by the fans. There's a couple that I can name right off the top of my head. There's some that I don't think took Jim Boeheim's coaching. Boeheim's like a doctor, right? Everybody's got a different bedside manner. Sometimes his bedside manner works and sometimes it doesn't. And I know people that it didn't work with, and I know people that it did. So, none of us are foolproof, right? Some people that played for Boeheim would tell you that he was a horrible coach. Some people that played for Boeheim would tell you he's an incredible coach. Some people that have never met Jim Boeheim and know him from afar would tell you he's incredible, or they would tell you that he's horrible. Some people that work in a grocery store would tell you he's horrible or tell you that he's great. I mean, everybody's got an opinion of everybody. But if I came to your job and I attacked you the way that you attacked me, Boeheim, the kids, whoever, would you like that? Do you want me to come home and bang on your door and talk to you about how horrible you are as a human being and how much of a lowlife you are and how much you suck at your job and how you should quit? And I question and challenge everything you do and I have notes on everything you do and I'm constantly beating you down. These coaches and players do that every day. Every day. Somebody says something bad about these kids every freaking day. You think Boeheim doesn't know that somebody wishes ill upon him every day of a calendar year? Every day. And you know what his response to those people were? 45 years of being a head coach because he does not care. It's like the kindest middle finger he could give you. So, he doesn't coach for you. They don't play for you. They don't play for me. They don't coach for me. I broadcast because I want to make the world a better place. I broadcast because I love it, because it's what I love to do. I do what I love, and I love what I do. I do it because until God tells me to do something else, this is what I want to do. So to all the players and the coaches out there, do what makes you happy. To all the janitors and the flight attendants and the doctors and the lawyers and the business owners and dog walkers and au pairs and babysitters and everybody everywhere. Do you. And as long as you're not purposely trying to hurt anybody, you have my support. It stinks that these guys are transferring. But I'm excited to see where they end up, and I'm excited to see if they're successful. I'm excited to see the jersey that they wear, and I hope that they'll come on a show and do an interview with me. Because above all things, I care about them as people. And if God wills it, it'll happen. So I come to you today giving you not so great news. And I'm not going to apologize for that because I didn't make the decision. But this is the news. And whether you like it or not, they're leaving. I would be baffled if any one of these three guys came back. To echo myself from earlier, when you enter the transfer portal, you're usually transferring. Or else, why enter the transfer portal? It's called the transfer portal. It's not the I'm thinking about staying portal. It's not the I don't know what to do portal. It's not the 50-50 portal. It's the I don't know what the numbers are, but I would say like 1%, if even that, come back to the team that they're transferring from, and 99%, if not more, transfer. It just stinks for me personally that I don't get to see these guys succeed in my hometown colors. But I'm not a selfish person. And I don't pretend to know everything. Nor do I believe, if I was sitting across from any of these guys, that I would have any right to tell them what to do. If they asked me what to do, I would ask them each individually, are you happy? Do you feel respected? Do you feel like this place will push you to be your best self? Are you growing here? Or did you feel lied to? Did you feel like you got told the truth? Can this help you get to the next level? Is this good for your family? What's your mental health like? What's your gut tell you? Pray to God. What does that tell you? That's what I would tell these kids. I wouldn't tell them, hey, a bunch of people on Twitter are unhappy, you better change your mind. I just can't believe I'm looking at three faces of guys that I really, really wanted to see excel at Syracuse that I'm not going to get to see excel at Syracuse. So the thing that pains me the most is that I don't get to spend as much time with them personally as I'd like to. But John Ajak, Robert Braswell, Kadary Richmond, you're always welcome on Wake Up Call. And I hope you succeed wherever you go. And don't be a stranger. I'll talk to you all soon. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. This is a bonus episode about the transfer trio and talking about all the things around transferring, from fans to coaches to players and broadcasters. Thank you for tuning in. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. You can also find wakeupcalldt.com as our homepage, and listen in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and watch Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in our normal schedule times, which is every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.com from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, like I said, Monday through Friday. And once the shows are live, they go to our archives, so always check back to see what we add there on Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Podbean by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And a big-time shout-out to all of the companies that help to make this show and all of our shows at Wake Up Call possible. Cafe Cubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Avicoli's, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Honda City of Liverpool, Pizza Man, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, the Millhouse Market, and Mod Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. I'll talk with you all soon, and in the meantime, be good to each other, be kind, and every time you go to hurt somebody else, remember how much that says about you and how that says absolutely nothing about them. Be a good person. It ain't that hard. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Thanks for joining me on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT today. And thank you to those of you on Facebook and YouTube. I'll talk with you soon.